Welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. Actually, it's not daily anymore. It's twice a week. I'm just getting distracted by the comment. I'll read it in a minute. But okay, so what am I going to cover today? I will introduce this by the way that I got introduced to it. My husband looks over, he's on Twitter looking at stuff, and he says, have you seen the Trump meeting with the South African president? I'm like, no, I actually haven't seen the whole thing. I just saw a snippet of it today, so I didn't even see it when it occurred. I said, no, what happened? He's like, I can't describe it. You have to watch it. I'm like, come on, just tell me what happened. He's like, no, you have to watch it. So I watched a little bit of it. But so this was last night. I think it was last night. Okay, I've got some comments. Greetings, David. Greetings. He says, so all mainstream media must have been given their word of the day to report on this takedown by Trump ambush. Every mainstream media site used that word in their coverage. Maybe I'll bring some of it up. But and I haven't seen the mainstream media because I don't have like TV. I don't watch mainstream media, but I was talking to someone today who alluded to it. He was so frustrated. He's like, he can't believe that they're denying this is happening. I'm going to share one of my friends has a lived experience. So they were farmers in South Africa. They moved to Canada to escape South Africa because like all around their farmers had been murdered, including her uncle, and brutally murdered, and his wife raped right in front of him. So I'm just reading some comments. Did you ever see the side by side mosaic of mainstream media regardless of their affiliation? Yes, and they were all saying the same thing is a threat to our democracy. Do you remember that video? So I guess they're doing the same thing. Hi, Heather. Hi, Jonathan. Hi. I'm tired. I've been working a lot. I've been working on getting all of these town halls booked. So I think we have 15 so far. So we're actually going to do 18. And I've been putting them on the website, getting all of our website stuff updated. Wayne is watching. Good evening, Wayne. Hi, Shelly. Where are you guys watching from? Jonathan, where are you guys at now? Because you guys are kind of all over Alberta. Oh, the media stuff reminds him of the no famine in Ukraine Pulitzer winning lie. Hi, Maria. I don't know if you were here last time. I think you were. David is in Maple Ridge. I've been to Maple Ridge. I had a friend who was an RCMP who lived in I think he lived in Maple Ridge, but he was also posted to Maple Ridge. Mitch was his name when I lived in Vancouver. Okay, so let's start with okay, I wanted to find like the longest videos. There's clips all over the place, but I wanted to find the longest video. So I noticed that Viva Frey posted it. So I'll read what he said first. He says, this is undoubtedly one of the single greatest moments in presidential history. Donald Trump asked what it will take for him to believe there's no white genocide going on in South Africa. I don't know, how do you say his name? Is it Cyril? Cyril? Is the first way I said it the right way? Offers a preposterous answer. Donald Trump then plays 5 minutes of South African political leaders calling to kill the white South African farmers. Watch Cyril, stupid smile, ultimately fade into a grimace. Sorry, I said a bad word there. Usually I don't, I skip it. Although I make a prediction, mainstream media is going to fact check Trump on the crosses memorial at the end of the video. They are going to say it is a memorial for all farmers killed, not just white farmers. They will not tell you that over 87% of all farmers killed have been white. Okay, let's watch this video. I just have to switch screens here, and I realize I didn't put the share entire screen. Which one is it? This one. Okay, let's do this. Hopefully it'll be loud enough. Let me know if it's not. So I haven't seen this whole thing, so I'm watching it for the first time. I've seen like a small clip of it. Maria or Heather said Cyril. Cyril? I don't know. Cyril. Okay. Oh, and David says Katie Hopkins has a great documentary playing on Rebel about the plight of the Afrikaner farmer, a few years old but still relevant. Yeah, I do have a small clip of it that I'm going to play in a little bit.
What does it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be
You guys hear it okay?
what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And that, is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things. And it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament?
I'm just going to see. They don't play it, do they? Here, we'll skip it and then I'll play the video. Oh, why is it not loading? Oh, David says that one report said Cyril, when Trump started this TV presentation, that he turned to him and asked him to turn it off. Why isn't it playing? There you go.
Are very, very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving,
Look at
they're
his
stopped
body
there to
language.
pay respects to their family member who was killed.
He's so uncomfortable.
And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
I'll see if he says anything else. Let's see if I can bring up the video itself that they played. This video, yeah, this one will show it a bit. Tim Young said forcing the South African president to watch politicians in South Africa call for white genocide is incredible diplomacy. Other administrations would have just had a standard meeting and press conference. Trump is actually trying to save lives. That's what the Post says. Here, I'll play the video. Here.
Lights down, turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not?
I think the White House actually released the actual video. Let's see if I can get a better copy of it. I think it was the White House.
Refugees here. Can you
Oh, that's another video. Let's just search for the White House because they have an account. I'm just going to quickly text my husband because the dogs are barking and I'm worried that there's a porcupine yet again. I don't want to be pulling quills out. Okay. White House, here it is. Normally I would go and let them in, but where is it? This happened yesterday, right? Yeah, so it wouldn't be that far. Wow, they post a lot. Yeah, it'd be good to... Oh, 10 hours ago. Okay. And if I do search, it doesn't have the search option like usually. I'll try that. Give me a sec. See the joys of it being live. South.
Because talk about this.
Oh, here's a video, but it's not the whole thing, I don't think. But let's play it anyways.
This is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
That's not the video I saw earlier, but I don't know. I'm going to get to a few comments here. Yeah, Heather says they show it all on the video, yet Cyril denies it. David says Cyril brought 2 token white golfers to tell Trump it ain't so. Yeah, mainstream media is doing their best to say it's not happening. It is. Maria says, think the opposite of what mainstream media reports. Pretty much, eh? E Sharp is watching from Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. Firecracker says, hi all, I'm 18 for supper. How 18 am I? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Oh, late. Okay. Okay, my kids would be laughing right now because this is the lingo that young people use. So, late. Okay, this is the video that I saw. Okay.
With or without you,
It's loud. Here, let's.
people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land.
Yes.
South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable
Do whatever
member,
you want to
Deputy
do.
Speaker,
You can
Deputy
withdraw my
Speaker,
membership from
Deputy
this
Speaker.
useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. To kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Shoot to kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa.
This is awful.
Pa. Pa.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies.
Like there's thousands and thousands of people singing this.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America.
Each cross represents a white farmer who was murdered in South Africa. Apparently, it's not all white, but 85% of them are white. so sad. Elsa's the name of my friend. She used to live there, and she didn't want to be next, so they sold everything and moved here. Like I think I can't remember how many years ago. I'll see if she. Yeah, in 2012. I was at a presentation where she shared her story and what happened to her uncle, just the farm next to them. But this is like a common thing, and then what will happen, they will have like she said they all have like radios, and that's how they knew it was happening, because they radioed that there was someone breaking in. Like the details might be a little bit off, but this is what I remember. And what would happen is the farmers, because it's so common, it happens so much, that they would have this safety thing where they would all call each other so that they could protect each other. And she said like the police do nothing. It just keeps happening and happening. Yeah, Paulette said white farmers, their wives and children. I don't think they killed the aunt, from what she had told me, while she was presenting it. Wayne is watching from the slums of Edmonton, aka Calgary. Honest Fresh says, glad to catch your live show. Just signed the Sovereign Saskatchewan petition. Oh, good. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit too. We've got more signatures. We've revamped the website so that when people go on, they see it right away. So it's not confusing. So they're not just signing up to the website without signing the petition. They can do either. Some people can just sign up to our website to stay updated without signing the petition. So Maria says, my water system maintenance dude is from South Africa and white. He said it's very unsafe there. Kids don't leave their property for fear of being taken. Firecracker says, David Menzies' wife is from South Africa. He said that if you ever go there, do not wear any jewelry, including your wedding rings. Yeah, Jonathan works with quite a few South African doctors, even when he was in Prince Albert as well. So we'd hear like all the stories and stuff. So their property has like bars on all the windows. Most of them will have like really tall fence, like with security gate, so you can't just come up to the door. David says, if you can, how about hit the like button to get this out to more people? Yeah, like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. So, okay, what else do we have here? This is another clip, but it's a different one. Let's see what it says.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them, we take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah.
Wow, he's so nervous. I don't blame him. He's kind of was ambushed. I was reading a story. Okay, so if I reacted laughing, it's because there was a comment that made me laugh. Maria said, "Hi to the Sask NDP watchers." Yes, welcome to my show. Stay for a bit. You might learn a thing or two. Yeah, they are like obsessively like watching everything I do. It's kind of entertaining. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. David says, hopefully no trolls for next 5 minutes. Dog wants out. He always interrupts Nadine's live stream. Or yeah, I interrupt your dogs. Okay, so Firecracker shared a story. So David Menzies said that his wife couldn't get her wedding ring off and a guy was going to chop off her finger to get it, but somebody screamed from an apartment building and scared him off. David says, I would go to Hungary. Is it Hungary? Hungary? Not like I'm hungry, but Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and Russia first. I don't know. I wouldn't go to Russia. The wife of a South African doctor told me that sorry, there's like a couple words, that his niece went to USA as a medical doctor as she will never get a job in South Africa because she is white. There is like a lot of rules like that. Not just that, to enter medical school as well. It's a lot harder if you're white compared to how it used to be. But let's see what else. I remember like seeing where they were gonna make it so that if a white farmer wanted to sell their land, they wouldn't get compensated for it. Did you guys see anything like that? I remember it was a while back. I don't know if it was law that was actually passed, but if you're white, you wouldn't get compensated for it if you were white. Here, I'm gonna see if I can find it. I just want to see quick. I don't know if this is like a legit source, but let's see. This is saying that the South African president signing into law the land seizure law, allowing the state without compensation to seize white South African farmers' land. This was May. President Ramaphosa caught on tape saying land from white South African farmer must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation, and it must happen now. Should play this video in next meeting. Well, this is Cyril. Well, we don't know. Is this real?
The question of land. The land of our forefathers and our foremothers must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now. The question of...
Let's see what else. I don't want to just scroll through. Yeah, so that's the video. Here's another video of him saying the same thing.
This
You
year,
guys
we will
probably
take
couldn't hear. Sorry. I just realized you guys probably couldn't hear.
decisive action to realize the enormous economic potential of agriculture. And as agriculture requires land, as agriculture needs land as a basic resource, we will accelerate our land distribution program not only to redress a grave historical injustice, but also to bring more producers into the agricultural sector and to make more land available to our people for cultivation. We will pursue a comprehensive approach that makes effective use of all mechanisms at our disposal. Guided by the resolutions of the 54th National Conference of the Governing Party, this approach will include the expropriation of land without compensation.
I doubt that that's been faked. I keep hearing water noise, but I think it's the dishwasher going. It is, unless it's raining outside. I don't think it is. Okay, what else? There's a little clip here from
whether you call it a genocide
on CNN. Scott Jennings was on CNN. Let's see. Look at the title.
Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white farmers in South Africa have been murdered. A lot of people have tried to cover this up. A lot of people in, I think, media in the United States have tried to cover it up. Obviously, the South African government doesn't want to talk about it, so it was kind of a boss move for Donald Trump to roll that television in there today. And I think even the agriculture minister in the Oval Office confirmed that these people are, in fact, being murdered. So my question is, if it's not a genocide today, how many do we want to let get murdered so that people around here can be satisfied? Okay, now it's a genocide. Let's let a few more. I don't understand. We're talking about 50-something people they were trying to let in. And everybody's losing their mind after we let in 20 million illegal immigrants over the last several years. The president is trying to prevent genocide from happening any further to these people. They are clearly being discriminated against. Some have been murdered. This was an interesting spectacle in the Oval Office today, but it had to happen because I don't think anybody was telling the truth about it. Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white.
Who is Scott Jennings? I've seen him before. He's on CNN a lot. Oh, okay. He's a CNN pundit and PR guy, it says on Twitter. Okay, this is the video by... It's not the whole documentary, it's just a clip of it. I think like the advertising. Killing Fields movie.
If you don't do what we are telling you to do, we're going to rape your wife in front of you and kill her and rape even your children, the small one.
Okay. Well, it's late enough. I don't think there'll be children watching this, but I didn't realize they were going to play that. So just a heads up, if you have kids, maybe put earbuds in.
My husband was murdered in what they classify as a farm attack, and they shot him in the head in front of us, and he fell at my feet.
in the last year, there were roughly 84 farm murders.
If you didn't tell us to say, well, where's the money? We're going to shoot ourselves. They're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He took my arm like this and he showed me the way out.
How long were you raped for?
Police weapons have been used.
I hit the ground, they started hitting me and said, today we're going to kill you, you white bastard.
Shoot to kill them.
It's a racial thing. And the world can say what they want. The black people don't want us here.
We belong to each other and we owe it to each other if we want to keep on farming.
They can come and kill me, but I won't go.
I haven't seen it. So this is like an older movie. I'm going to watch it. Okay, let's change subjects. Oh, David posted it in the link. It's on YouTube. So, thanks, David. Okay. I won't make this episode super long. I'm going to try to end it before an hour is up, but Jasmine Lane said, "Free healthcare is super great until you need it. My guy recently learnt after waiting for a few weeks to see a doctor that he has psoriasis. Very painful, spreads like wild, and gets particularly worse when you are stressed. There's open wounds on his legs, stomach, elbows, and ears. Great, we got the diagnosis. Now what? Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. He was then referred to a specialist so he can get it treated. Apparently, the doctor's office can't prescribe him medication for it until a specialist sees him. Guess how long until we see the specialist? February of 2027. While we have both already donated our money to the free healthcare system that we are fortunate enough to rarely use and unfortunate enough to pay for and not have access to it the odd time we do need it, we will be taking a trip to the USA to see a specialist and get it treated. They also have more options for treatment depending on the severity of your flare-ups, which is an added bonus." So Jasmine Lane posted this morning. Some people say, "Oh, our healthcare being free is so great." Our healthcare system is falling apart. My husband and I were having this conversation about, like, I think it was a couple of days ago, about MRIs. And he didn't give like specific detail. He just said he had a patient that wanted an MRI and someone who can afford to pay for a private one. And that patient called the clinic to get a private one done. And the clinic says, "We can't do them because every time we do an MRI, that's paid, we have to do a free one for the province. And right now we owe so many free ones for the province that we're completely booked up. So he's not even going to be able to get it done for months." So this guy is now going to the US to get it done. He didn't tell me what it was for, but he was just explaining how even the province saying, "Okay, you do one for free, you do one for a client, now you have to do one for free." Even that is affecting access to MRIs. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. That's crazy. February 2027. Wayne says, when I blame it on the unions, people block me. Blame what? The healthcare? Okay, let's see what else I got here. Oh. I've just started following this because there was like an article today about the 2 missing kids in Nova Scotia. I don't know if you guys have heard Jack and Lily Sullivan. So they've been missing for here. I was trying to find when they went missing. But a neighbor just came out and said, here, does it say? So they're saying that the kids went roaming into the woods. There's also like some facts that seem a little odd, that the kids were homesick from school for 4 days before they went roaming into the woods. I don't know all of the details. I just like saw this video today and I'm like, it's interesting. So they've been missing for now. Here, I'm just going to ask Grok quickly when they went missing. When did Jack a lot of people online are saying that the parents are involved. I haven't seen like any interviews, so I'm not gonna weigh in on that. Lily and Jack went missing on May 2nd. Okay, it's when I thought. So 20 days ago. So, but there was video turned in. I'm gonna play from a trail cam from a neighbor.
Melissa Scott's trail cameras might contain clues about the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. RCMP asked her for days of footage as the investigation into the missing children approaches the 3-week mark.
It's scary, especially not knowing what happens. We definitely keep our kids a little closer to home now.
The 4- and 6-year-olds were reported missing from this home on May 2nd, launching a massive search of the woods surrounding the home. No trace has been found, and RCMP haven't ruled out the case is suspicious. This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th, 5 days before the kids were reported missing. 2 of Scott's neighbors were also asked to provide footage to RCMP. She says the officers also asked about her family's vehicles to rule out local traffic in the footage.
Possibly they are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This road is the most direct path from Scott's property to the home the kids went missing from. We drove between the 2 places. It's about an 18-minute drive down rough dirt roads. Straight through the woods, it's about 5 kilometers.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
RCMP would not answer CBC's questions, including why they are seeking trail camera footage from before the disappearance and why they are identifying local vehicles. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Glengarry Station, Nova Scotia.
So they were asking for before too. Sorry, I had to use the facility. I had too much tea. Oh, I wasn't gonna make it till an hour. This is an interview with the stepdad.
Last week.
Did they have more than 2 kids? The last person to see them alive was the bus driver. The timeline must start from Tuesday, not Friday. Let's watch this video.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could. and waited for the police to get there. The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt. I'm still holding out hope. I don't know why they didn't find anything from Jack's pull-up to her backpack or any of her belongings at all. They just haven't found anything.
You said they're flying in someone to do a polygraph test. Is that on you?
That's not just on me, but on everyone. That's what I asked for. I asked for that so early on, and there's not many places that do it in Canada, so they're flying somebody in.
Why do you think you need to do that? Do you think they don't believe you?
I think their side of the family doesn't believe me, and I just want to clear it up for everyone. Clear it up for everyone, not just the people online making crazy accusations and everything else.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911.
Hmm. Yeah, there's comments here. Hmm. Dylan says polygraphs aren't usable in court, though. No, they're not usable for convicting, but however, they are used in the police world to close cases or to switch from a suspect to a different suspect. So they can be used in that way, not necessarily, though, to convict. Dylan is asking, are there old mine shaft in this area? I don't know. Oh, you guys are, some of you are still talking about, some of you are talking about the hospital, and Wayne is teasing me. He's like, I'm not over 50. I should be able to hold it. Yeah, I've had 4 children, Wayne. It's not the age that makes it an issue. Okay. Kinsey says there's a Christian-run hospital in Edmonton that is quite good, I hear, but Edmonton folks keep trying to shut it down. Last time was because they refused to do MAID. Before that, it was because they refused to do abortion. Yeah, Jonathan says she couldn't hear the kids for a few minutes and then jumped right to calling 911. Did I hear that right? I don't know. Let's see. Here.
And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911.
Hmm. I'm just thinking, analyzing when someone is being truthful, they'll get straight to the point, and they'll say things in a very basic way. But when they're trying, so look, I'm not saying this is the case with this person, but I've seen this happen where when they're not being truthful, they use this technique where it's called fogging, where they'll use like way more details kind of all over the place. And yeah, the way she describes it is the reason that people do this if they're not being truthful is because they really want you to believe it, so they'll add as much details as possible, versus when you're being truthful, you'll just blurt it out and you won't add all of these details that don't matter. Like, what does it matter that she asked him, "Do you hear the kids?" And then even corrected and said his name instead of "I asked him." Do you know what I mean? Anyways, just things to think about. It's gonna be interesting. I've seen people say, "Oh, I'll do a polygraph. I'll do a polygraph to try to get people off their case." Too. It doesn't mean they necessarily pass a polygraph. It's just they think if they say they'll do it. I've seen that happen in some cases, and then they didn't end up doing it, but they felt like if they just say they're gonna do it. But the weird thing is he's the one bringing it up too. That's the weird part. There's just something off, like more off with him. But Kenzie says she's using the words instantly frequently. Yeah. David, if you have that link, send it to me. A vocabulary forensic analyst broke down the mom and dad's press conference speeches and said their word choice and mixing word choices is suspect, he thought. Like, one of the things that you see often is like distancing yourself or separating yourself, which the stepdad did. Remember, he said the kids, children, where was it at the beginning? And he corrected himself because he probably knows.
The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt. I'm still holding out hope. I don't know why they didn't find anything from Jack's pull-up to her backpack or.
That's such a weird thing to say. From Jack's pull-up to the backpack. Why why would you think the pull-up would be the first thing that the kid would remove?
Any belongings at all. They just haven't found anything.
You said they're flying in someone to do a polygraph test? Is that
So Friday morning, when we knew very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone.
Children's. That was a weird thing. Why switch that word? Anyways. Jonathan says she could be tense because it's an interview. So she's trying to tell the story quickly, or it could be suspicious. I'm not a good judge on this. Linda says, how would she know they were playing? Well, I think mom does. Like, if my kids are awake and they're like, I've had that where they're playing in the other room, whether it's video games or just games, you can tell your kids are playing because you usually hear what they're doing. Kenzie says, I imagine they feel guilt. Yeah, like, I don't want to go automatically to that. Like, what if the kids were outside and they were abducted? Maria says, I would be a freaking train wreck if I was this mom not doing an interview. Well, I'm gonna counter that. I think if your kids are missing, you're going and searching in the woods, you are a wreck. But sometimes doing interviews can get more people to want to help, or more people out there if they've been kidnapped. Like sometimes that happens, right? Where they ask the parents to do interview, to do pleading with like if a kid goes missing. So that I think that's normal to do interviews. I don't think she's doing it to find to look for clout. Yes, Kate, the event is still on in Saskatoon on May 25th. We've got almost 300 RSVPs so far. We're going to be posting it again, and we're going to be emailing our whole base to let them know. We've got more town halls. I will show you guys real quick here. Let's see. I just got to make sure my address doesn't show up, because when I go to the website, it shows my address. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is how many we've got so far. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We had initially said that we were doing 15, but I think we're going to do 18. Because when we looked at all the town halls we did in the past, we had actually done 18. So Saskatoon's the next one on May 25th. June 3rd will be Kindersley. June 10th is Moose Jaw. Meadow Lake is June 17th. Leader will be June 18th. Leader, Saskatchewan. Regina's June 22nd. Swift Current is June 24th. Shaunavon, June 25th. Weyburn, June 28th. Estevan, June 29th. So I'm probably going to stay in Estevan or Weyburn. That we're going to go probably bring our camper with the family. North Battleford's July 16th. Yeah, there's a couple weeks there in between. On July 2nd to July 14th, I'm going with the family to Calgary for the Stampede. We're taking our camper out there, so I'm taking 2 weeks off in July. We might still schedule some at that time, but I won't be the one attending. I probably won't be the one attending every single one of those, so other board members will be attending and doing the presentation. But yeah, so I won't have a show between July 2nd and July 14th because I'll be taking vacation time. And I'm going to be working though. I'm going to like a bunch of, so during Stampede, there's a ton of events that happen, like political events, networking events and stuff that happen there. So yeah, Humboldt, North Battleford, July 16th, Humboldt, July 22nd, Prince Albert, July 23rd. So the only one we're working on right now is Yorkton and Nipawin. We just haven't heard back. Well, we had booked one for Nipawin, but they came back and said they don't want to do it because it's a separatist event. I'm like, where did you hear that? Did you have a look at our website? Did you have a look at our event? Like separatism is the last issue that we're going to be dealing with, the last thing we're going to be dealing with. There's a million different steps, a million different things we can do up until that point. It's not even on our flyer. Kenzie says, Nadine, hey Nadine, maybe you can take in an Alberta town hall. I'm actually going to one in Alberta. I'm trying to figure out how I can make it work at a border town. So I just don't remember which one. I've been asked. I think it's on the 27th. So I'm planning on going to one. I'm going to be talking to Alberta Prosperity Project too to see if we can do a joint one for Lloydminster. And Alvi, yes, I am coming to Yorkton. I just don't have the hall booked yet. So Yorkton, we when we did our last town hall, it was in a church, so we were just checking to see if there was dates that would work in Yorkton. If we go to Yorkton, it'll probably be like third week in July, I would say. So during the weekend, because that one's so far. Too many eyes. In what? In the town halls? Yeah, that Yorkton is so far, so we're trying to figure out, if we're gonna stay the weekend. Maria says, "NDP energy minister was in Moose Jaw disputing unified," well, you said united, but it's unified grassroots event, saying it's hurting our economy, that their federal leader did that with Trudeau heads in the sand. Of course, the NDP is gonna say that. They've been complicit in the last 10 years in destroying our economy, destroying our province. Like, they're not gonna take accountability and blame for what they've done. And I know people will say, "Oh, that's the federal party." They have the same policies. They are the same party. If you own a membership to the provincial party, you own a membership to the federal. And if you own a membership to the federal and you live in Saskatchewan, you have a Saskatchewan membership to the NDP. So, but they want to distance themselves with the public because they know they'll never win if they identify with that. But it's the same people. It's the same policies, it's the same everything. So it's just not popular now. So they're going to say, "Oh, we're for energy resources, unleashing our natural resources," but they're not. Ideologically, they're not. So I just kind of find it funny. Um, Chiefs said they are suing the government of Alberta about leaving Canada issue. Can you comment? I have heard a lot about that. We're actually in our presentation, we're going to have a slide dedicated for First Nation and Indigenous people. And what I find shocking really is they complain on and on and on about how the Indian Act is racist. It takes away their own decision, their own governing. They keep pointing out to all the failures in it, and if it was to lead to separation, they could do three things. One, they could stay with Canada and still be part of Canada, and nothing would change for them. One, they could negotiate new trade agreements, new legislation with a new provincial government before it even gets to that. Like, they could literally have a chance at a clean slate to negotiate what they want. And I honestly think if it was to be separation, the First Nations people would be way better off than they are right now. We've all seen kind of how they've been treated by the federal government. They talk about it all the time. So now this would be an opportunity where it could be a clean slate where they could renegotiate new terms. But there was another one too. There's another interesting fact too. I don't know if you guys know, but if you're First Nation, you have dual citizenship. You can cross the border to the US and come back. Like, their drivers, like, they don't even need a passport. They can use their driver's license unless that's changed recently. But I remembered it being like that before. Here. I wanted to bring it up. I have it all on my laptop. Oh, I'm sorry for yawning. Yeah, upon successful vote for separation, the province of Alberta, this is Alberta, but it applies the same to Saskatchewan. First Nations within Alberta and other provinces and the government of Canada are obligated to engage in good faith negotiation to establish the terms of Alberta separation. I just want to point out too, if a referendum or a plebiscite or whatever is done and the majority of the people vote for separation, if that occurs, it's not boom, the province, it's on its own. What it does, it forces a renegotiation with Canada. So it doesn't mean it's going to become its own country automatically when people vote yes. It forces an emergency and a new negotiation to occur with Canada. So it could potentially even get to a point where we list all of our demands and the federal government says, yes, we're going to do all of that. Like, it doesn't mean just because the people voted yes to separate that that's the ultimate, like you can't go back. But in that process, what happens, then the negotiations start. So it could be treaties with First Nations people. It could be treaties to have access to the ports. It could be, we're going to give you this if you give us this. It could be negotiating the pension plan that Albertans have paid into. Like, all of these things would be put on the table and negotiated. So people say, oh, if a vote for separation occurs, we don't know what it's going to look like. Well, we're going to be part in negotiating that. And I say we as in like the people, the government representing the people. But okay, so Alberta First Nations would have the following options at minimum to determine their post-separation status. One, these are the different options. Option A, their reserve land would remain owned by Canada with treaties still administered by the Government of Canada, status quo, nothing changes. B, request that new government of Alberta assumes the responsibility of the Government of Canada under existing treaties. Only material change is which government administers the treaties. So that would be option B. Option C, negotiate a new framework agreement with Alberta to replace and modernize existing treaties. Personally, I think this would be even the best one because they could renegotiate treaties with how it's applied today, current day and age, not the racist ones that were created back then with First Nations as desperate, which would have been at the time, right? Desperate, taken advantage of, naive. So now it would be renegotiating on completely different new terms. So, but you'll notice, best bookmarks, I'm just trying to find it. I lost it for a second. Importantly, the First Nations themselves would decide which option to pursue as part of the secession negotiations, but they do not have a veto on whether Alberta separates. As confirmed in the map below, the government of Alberta owns almost all of the land and the oil and gas within Alberta, resulting from the 1930 Natural Resource Transfer Agreement. So, but doesn't matter if those are the facts. You'll see the theater, the theatrical performance by, I'm not saying all chiefs. I think if a lot of them who are saying we don't want this is because the fear of change. They don't want to lose everything they've got. They don't want to lose a lot of the things that they've like learned to live with and stuff. So I understand that fear. But if they understood what it meant for them, what it meant for self-determination, what it meant for self-governing, what it meant for renegotiating the entire thing, I don't think they would be saying, oh, we don't want any of this, considering how unhappy they've been with pretty much every single federal government since the beginning of time. Oh, there's a lot of comments. David says the natives would be fools to not join the provinces. The feds have been terrible to the natives on reserve. When you look, so I've worked on many. When I was in the RCMP, when you looked at the ones that were thriving and doing really well, it was the ones that had a lot of opportunities brought to the reserve. Like Beardy's would be a classic example of that. They brought a lot of opportunity. Even like the reserves, like the Army reserves had like a program. So a lot of the First Nations on in Beardy's joined that and became part of the Army too. But they also had like a teaching program. So they brought the teaching so that they didn't have to leave everything they know to go get education, they could still stay within their community and not have to completely change their way of life. So they brought like an education program where they could become teacher, and a whole bunch of them graduated. Maria says, I've seen that clause that natives can't stop it and also don't remember the name. I'm curious as to how this all was dealt with. And there's so many comments, I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. I'm curious as to how all this was dealt with in Quebec, because they have First Nations there too. David says a lot of native bands in Nova Scotia are doing amazing things. Same with Alberta. Like there's a lot that are really thriving. But I also think the government has created a situation that stifles them from doing well. And there's so many, we could get into debates on what that is. But the ones where even the youth thrives is where there's opportunity. So, and that opportunity, when it's stifled, not like when our economy is stifled, it affects First Nations too. When oil and gas or natural resources are stifled, like in Alberta, it affects First Nations too. A lot of them have a lot of income generated from that. A lot of them work in these industries. Kenzie says, do Albertans get a say on whether we sign new treaties or what they would look like? Well, I think they would, in a sense, as in who they elect to do the negotiation. Kenzie says 33 billion for Aboriginal services. Is that all over Canada? I don't imagine that would be for Saskatchewan only or Alberta only. I don't remember where you're from. But yeah, I'll be doing a lot more research on it, because it is something that, like, I have like gone and looked into the treaties, and there is a lot of information also out there that's not accurate. So, but oh yeah, the last thing I was going to talk about. So we were talking about the NDP. I thought this was comical. I've got their actual press release, but here's the photo of their press release. And it's all, now we head into summer where this uncertain, I'll read this post anyways. Last week, we offered the Sask Party an opportunity to take a stance against separatism, pushing even different times for a vote on our legislation to keep Saskatchewan in Canada. But Scott Moe and crew played political games and used their majority to block us every time. It's kind of ironic. They're accusing the Sask Party of playing political games, which is essentially what they're doing. That was a moment for the Premier to stand up to separatism and end this discussion once and for all. Who does she think she is? This is like fascism. This is like what fascism looks like. When you tell people you can't discuss an issue, and it's not surprising they're taking this stance, because they love everything that's happened over the last 10 years. They love all the policies that have been put in place to stifle our industries, our natural resource industry, because that they believe in that ideology. So I just find this Hilarious. We wouldn't even be in this situation if the NDP had actually stood for the people of Saskatchewan. If the NDP had actually said, you know what, Jagmeet, we don't want you teaming up with Trudeau and destroying our industry. No, they didn't do that. They didn't all force Jagmeet to stop his whatever you want to call it, allegiance or alliance with Trudeau when Trudeau was passing legislation that was destroying our province. We probably wouldn't even be talking or doing this movement or having any of this if it wasn't for the NDP and people like Carla Beck. Like they literally are the reason people are fed up and upset. So anyways, I'll keep reading. Now we head into the summer where this uncertainty will only grow louder. Unified Grassroots, well, thank you. I love that they're giving us airtime, is planning to hold 15 town halls on the benefits of separating Saskatchewan from Canada. Saskatchewan NDP Shadow Minister of Trade Export Development, Kim Brecker, and Shadow Minister of Highways and Infrastructure spoke to media last hour about the harm this campaign will cause to our economy. This is exactly what we have been warning about for months. We should be focused on Saskatchewan's future within a united Canada. Instead, we have this, a separatism roadshow that will put our economy at risk. I don't think the NDP know how to read. I think they have comprehension issues. I really do, because our flyer doesn't mention separatism once. It mentions Saskatchewan sovereignty. And what does that look like? It can look like a million different things before it gets to separation. Like it right now, all we're doing is gathering all of the people that are not okay with the status quo. We don't even have a petition. That's the other thing. Some of the posts are saying we're gathering signatures for a plebiscite. No, we're not. We're going to the people and hearing what they have to say, which I think is something the NDP doesn't know how to do. They don't like listening to the people, especially if it's people who don't agree with them. They just think that their way is the only right way and no one else is allowed a different opinion or a different way of thinking or different anything. Be like us or you must be canceled. But let's see what our town halls are about. Let's just have a quick look here. Our flyer. We'll do this Saskatoon one. They're all the same thing. It's just some are. I just gotta erase my information here. It just automatically shows up here. Open image in new tab. Let's do that. This is our town hall here. The advantages of greater provincial autonomy. How federal decisions are impacting Saskatchewan. Legal and democratic steps towards sovereignty. Grassroots actions you can take. Your concerns and questions. We don't even know what the plebiscite is going to look like or the petition for the plebiscite because we need to hear from the people first. I don't expect to know everything. I'm not like Carla Beck. I don't actually think I know everything. And I don't actually think that my perceptions, my views are the views of everyone in Saskatchewan. She does. I don't. I want to hear from the people. And I'm hoping too that there will be people at these town halls who are concerned about separation. I want to hear from them too. I want to know, why are they concerned? What are certain things that are holding them back? What are certain things that are holding them back from wanting more sovereignty? What would that look like? It could be, hypothetically, it could be renegotiating the status that each province has in Canada. It could be renegotiating better representation in government, whether it's Senate or MPs. It could be creating a different structure in Canada that make it more fair, maybe a little bit more similar to the American system, where they have better representation for each state. Dylan says, Nadine, didn't you know one person's opinion is worth 1 million people's opinions? But the funny thing is, the thing that makes this even more hilarious is like they're like crying that this is making like this is creating economic harm to the province. What about the economic harm that the NDP has done over the last 10 years by teaming up with Trudeau? What about that? What about the economic harm that's been done with them crying wolf over climate change? Climate change. We must do everything. Carbon tax. Must do everything we can. We need to get to net zero, which they're still pushing for. Like, what about that? What about the amount of businesses that haven't built capital or settled in Canada because they know which direction it's going, which is a socialist or communistic direction? Like, I know so many people who, if they were given the choice between creating a business in Canada or the US, they would choose the US a million times over. Because the US at least goes back and forth between left and right, left and right. Canada's almost always left. So, but anyways, they did a whole like press conference, which I got a copy of, and I found it funny. They were saying like the one MLA was a RCMP guy, and oh, that's why I'm like for Canada, because I served as a RCMP. But nowhere does it say I was used to be RCMP. I used to love this country actually, until this country turned into something that I don't think I would fight to defend. It's gone so far from the freedom, and the NDP is just another example of the anti-democratic party. That's what I'm going to start calling them. ADP. They're the anti-democratic party. We have soldiers who have fought for freedom, who have fought for democracy. And then you have Carla Beck, who's doing the exact opposite. Let's silence anyone who doesn't see things the way I see them. But anyways, they don't know how to read, or they don't have good comprehension. One or the other. But they keep lying. They keep saying that we're a separatist group. Separatism is the last resort. We have a million different things that we're working on before we get to separatism. And I said this, I was on Evan Bray's show. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I was on his show this morning at 10:15 if you want to go back and listen to it. I said, if we manage to gather 100,000, maybe 200,000 people as part of our petition, which isn't the referendum petition, it's a petition to gather anyone who wants to do something towards fighting for Saskatchewan. Let's say we get at 200,000 people. That would be enough for a plebiscite. But let's just say we do. The numbers start gathering and gathering. That sends a strong message to Ottawa that there is a Canada unity crisis, where they're not going to be able to pretend we don't exist anymore and ignore our wishes, ignore from like stop listening to us. That sends a strong message. You think that Carla Beck would like that? The fact that Saskatchewan would get more representation, but no, this is all political for her. And they're perfectly fine with lying. They're perfectly fine with making everything up. Even saying our town hall is a separatist town. Where does it say separatist on the page? Saying that we're gathering signatures for a plebiscite at our town hall. No, we're not. We're teaching people how to get more involved in our democratic processes. We're teaching them how to get a party membership, how to join boards of parties. And maybe that's going to be the NDP. We're nonpartisan. We don't tell them which one to join. We don't tell them which one to get a membership from. We tell them where the one might be more influential, like in certain areas, it might be more likely to be Sask Party. In other areas, it might be more likely to be NDP. But maybe they're afraid of these town halls because they're afraid we're going to gather the people and maybe make the NDP a less extreme party. Because what's happened over the last few, maybe couple generation, is you have all of these activist groups that have been teaching people exactly what we're teaching them now. And they've basically taken over all of these political parties. So you want to know why the NDP's gone so extreme is because all of these activists have taken over the NDP parties. And the more normal, reasonable people are like, I don't want anything to do with this craziness. So they've left. So that party has actually become more extreme because there's been less participation by the general public. So I would love to change that. I would love for there to be hundreds of thousands of people that have memberships to political parties, both in Saskatchewan. Because what would happen is those political parties would be less extreme. They would be more reflective of the middle ground people. So if us teaching people to get involved and show up at NDP AGM or at a SAS party AGM means they're going to get more people to get involved, yes, I would love that, because then it won't be just the extremes. But and this has happened too in other places. Maria says the Libs and NDP are all about crisis and will cause one when it suits them. Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. Ooh, interesting. Firecracker says Sam Cooper thinks that Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney teamed up behind the scene to dethrone Trudeau. Huh. That wouldn't shock me. Yeah, Dylan says fascism is just honest communism. So if anything else, if anything, she's showing her true colors, demanding all comply. Yeah, this is not going to look good for her. Like, even you if you look in the comments, like, even the people that are like NDP are saying, why are you silencing them? Like, let them organize, let them have their thing. Like, this looks really bad. But anyways, I got the press release. Someone sent it to me. This is what I wrote. Aw, they held a whole press conference just for us. I might send Carla Beck a thank you card and maybe flowers for the free PR. Want to help cover the bouquet in our town halls? You can do so right here. We actually got donations from this. So I'm going to be sending her a thank you card and some flowers. Probably maybe tomorrow. I'll see if I can do it tomorrow. I got to figure out where to send them. But that'll be funny. Kristen, I don't know what you're saying here. Oh, so Kenzie says, so former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk has submitted a referendum question to Elections Canada to counter the APP one. He thinks he can collect 600K signatures in 90 days, but has nothing set up yet. Okay, that is finishing up. Has nothing set up yet to collect the signatures. First time I even heard of it was today. So if his question is accepted, a similar one will not be accepted. Kenzie says, yep, he has no chance, I'm sure. But we're surely wreck our chances. So what are you saying? If that gets approved, then the other one wouldn't get approved? So Jonathan says, so submit a badly written question to sabotage a proper referendum question. That's dirty. Yeah, Maria says, whose payroll is he on? The NDP? Or it probably is coming from outside of Canada. I'm curious as to what was the question in the Quebec referendum here. What was the question in the Quebec referendum? Oh, okay. So this was the question in Quebec in 1995. Do you agree that Quebec should become sovereign after having made a formal offer to Canada for a new economic and political partnership within the scope of the bill respecting the future of Quebec and of the agreement signed on June 12th, 1995? But they said they had it in French. What was the agreement? I'm going to do some digging. Hmm. So this was become sovereign or independent after having made a formal offer to Canada for a new economic and political partnership within the scope of the bill respecting the future of Quebec and of the agreement signed. Actually, that's a pretty good question. Because it doesn't necessarily say, oh, we're separating. It says after having made this. So basically, the separation comes if that formal offer is not accepted. That actually would be a pretty good thing. If there was like a formal offer of all these demands that was to be made, like we get to keep our firearms, or we get to have oil and gas, we get to have a pipeline to the ports. We could have all of these listed demands. Speaking of demands, Scott Moe made a list. I'm just going to go over it real quick here. I'm going to find it. A list of demands to Mark Carney. I think it was the last thing. Oh no, there's another post since. All the Western premiers were together. Here, I'll share this. Today, all Western premier called for the creation of an economic corridor to provide port-to-port access from the West Coast to Hudson Bay. This generational project will secure Canada's economic future and transform Canada into an energy superpower. Here, that's a parody. That's not his account. Give me a sec. This is it. Oh, shoot. It's not very big. Okay. You can't really read it. If I can't read it, you probably can't. So I'm going to bring it up on my phone and read it from my phone. I had it on my laptop. So this letter was posted on May 14th. So demand 1, immediately begin negotiations with China to remove Chinese tariff on Canadian agri-food products. Also, I will say the Carla Beck only mentioned the China tariffs once. If you look at her entire search on Twitter, one post. That's it. But she really cares for Saskatchewan. Strengthen the criminal code through bail reform and the introduction of stronger penalties to fight against new street drugs. Stop attempting to collect the federal carbon tax on home heating from Saskatchewan to be in line with the recent full removal of consumer carbon tax. Transfer responsibility from the output-based pricing system of heavy emitters to the provinces to ensure measures consider each province's unique industrial structure, economic reality, and trade exposure. Repeal the unachievable and unaffordable clean electricity regulation and extend the life of coal power plants to provide affordable and reliable base load power to Saskatchewan residents. Repeal the oil and gas emissions cap to create investment certainty and secure the supply of Canadian energy products, some of the most sustainable in the world. Build trade and economic corridors across the country and remove legislation that impacts the movement of Western Canadian goods to effectively and efficiently get our goods to domestic and international markets. Oh, sorry, that's the next window. You guys probably can't read it either, it's so small. Restore the investment climate and streamlining federal approval process to allow major projects to proceed. Expand pipeline capacity to protect the collective energy security of our nation, which will open up rail import capacity for other exportable commodities. Fundamentally reform the Impact Assessment Act, cutting red tape and streamlining the process to avoid duplication and infringement into provincial jurisdiction. The thing is, there's nothing about that that says electoral reform or making it fairer representation for the Senate or allowing us to elect our own Senate instead of be Liberal appointees that do favors for the Liberal government. Dylan says, notice how none of those are bringing back via rail and bus lines. Maria says, given time, I think Kenny would have been another Doug Ford. I think he was a Doug Ford. He was during COVID. Okay, that's it. That's it for today. I will be back on Monday. I will say, though, once the town halls start in full swing, there's so many of them, I may have to reduce to 1 day a week for the show, only because like some weeks there's 3 town halls, some are out of town. So I think there's 1 day too that there's a town hall on the same day as a show on Monday. So I won't, if I'm the one that has to go, it's all going to depend on how many people will be willing to do the town halls. So Jonathan says, I agree, Maria. Now Kenny's trying to be another Charles Adler. I think he always was kind of like that. I think he just hid it because that's not what the Alberta people wanted. So he portrayed himself to be what they would want, and it was all a lie. So, okay, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you guys on Monday. Good night.